Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races, such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
All weekend long and all week long, drivers prepare for this opportunity. Tonight, the iRacing Knoxville Nationals, presented by Simple Tire, see more than 200 drivers broken up into super sessions. This is Super Session 2. This is the evening session. And it's all here at iRacing social media platforms and on Racespot. Good evening, everyone. I'm Justin Prince. Hugo Louise is our producer for tonight. As this evening, the top drivers throughout the entire week's multiple different sessions all find out who's the best in the best of the sessions. This is the chance to pick up a special event victory to put on your resume. Let's talk about the schedule coming into tonight. This actually starts the second half of your special event calendar here on iRacing with series and tracks like Portimao and Crandon coming up in the month of August alone. But we've had some interesting races like the Brickyard 400 and the 6 Hours of Road America during the same weekend or so. The Spa 24 also part of last month. And plenty of other major events in the upcoming schedule, including the Chili Bowl, amongst some of the dirt races in the later portions of the calendar. But all that's to say, if you want to win this event, you have a lot to survive. First things first, 18 drivers move on to the heats, usually through these races, but only a few transfer from the B main. If you don't advance, well, you have to go through the consolation races, the stacked alphabet, if you will. If you're at the back, you go to the E main, then the D main, then the C, then the B, all the way to make it to the A main later on today for the 35 laps distance here today. And remember, it's going to be important to make sure you're not involved in trouble when the cautions, if you have any, well, remember, caution laps do not count once we get that portion of the event. There's a lot to talk about over the course of the weekend when it comes to the racing drivers as well that are going to try and claw their way through these 6 races because there's not a lot of laps to do it. Just 3 minutes of qualifying, setting the grid tonight, 10 laps per piece to show what you've got here in the state of Iowa today at Knoxville Raceway. This racetrack is an interesting one with its half-mile distance that provides a lot of opportunity to move around as this track's worked in. They did reset the state of the circuit to about 3% for the qualifying session, but the race sessions onward carry forward. These competitors finish up qualifying with Aiden Price starting on the pole tonight. It's Henry Finson who's in second. Dylan Yanger will start in third. One of the drivers who's had experience as a pro before, along with Zachary Wells. He's the 29th driver in this split. Casey Simmons alone as well as Austin Miller is in your top 6. Brian J. Cross will start in 7th today with Dane Speckelmeyer and DJ Pitelli, along with James Farron, a part of your entry list here tonight. That's the first heat grouping here this evening. And again, this is a part of the road to Saturday, if you will. It's one of the parts of this event that's pretty special here for those who enjoy the competition. Every night, Monday through Friday, drivers essentially ran qualifying events that required consistency, but also making sure to control the aggression. Any DNF could knock you out of the top 60 estimated. With the way things split up, it ended up being 57, 56, 56, 56 on who actually made it in their respective super sessions. That being said, if you were consistent to score the points, you had an opportunity to get here or in Super Session 1, won by one of the competitors in this field tonight, Sean W. Smith. This entire pack is going to have an interesting one. A little bit of technical blips for Price as the field gets ready for its start in the next few moments here on iRacing social media platforms, here on Racespot as well. This event in real life's been around since 1961, has had so many different real names. Whether it's the Super Modified National Championship or becoming the Super Sprint National Championship by the 1970s. And plenty of other titles over the years. Steve Kinzer made a name for himself here with 12 victories in his career in this event alone. And obviously, you want to add your name to it if you're an iRacer and are on the dirt. As the drivers prepare for tonight, some of the names to keep an eye on and see where things go. Last year, it was Colton Brewer and Tanner Pettit who picked up Super Session victories. Now we find out who does it this year. The field is set. The drivers are off. The green is out. We're underway. And a clean start up at the front of the field. A majority of the field working in the bottom middle. Then a ping pong bouncing around. And contact sees Vincent up and over, immediately destroyed to begin the race, and immediately trouble. We'll see him have to go through the alphabet. That green line you see, gonna have to keep an eye on that one. That's a part of your cutoff here this evening. We talked about how many drivers can make it. Top three, just top three can advance directly to the feature here tonight, here at Knoxville. Dylan Yeager running that pink machine, looking to show that you can carry speed despite the color palette. He's got Casey Simons behind him right now with the order. The Canadian 17 machine in your session. Here in this 410 engine. Looking to try and work the middle bottom. The circuit still has to work itself in, remember, if you want to run up to the cushion tonight. One of the drivers to keep an eye on is going to be Austin Miller. See the junior added to the name in the middle. Right now, that 46 machine trying to find a way to close up, but is missing some of the corners compared to the line difference of your main drivers here. Majority are trying to keep themselves out of that untouched dirt. But you can see Miller on turn 4 exit is trying to widen the line and set this up for later, get some slick built up. Obviously, this race goes by quick. We're already coming up to 3 laps to go. Price has led the whole way with no issues up at the point. So far, Gab Simons just held on by a decent margin in the order. Right now running 14.7s. Those times are going to change and fluctuate as we get more and more worked in and as we go under the night conditions here on Racespot. Down to the final lap coming up this time by. No mistakes for anyone up at the front, so it's looking comfortable if you're Price. He's controlling the field. Down to the final lap. He's one of Tanner Pettit's teammates on the platform, and he's been looking steady. The Pizza Man, in terms of the paint scheme at least, looking to deliver a win. He does. Race 1's his direction. Dylan Yeager and Casey Simons move on, as they're the 3 above the cut line. Below it is Austin Miller Jr., Brian Cross, Dane Speckelmeyer, as well as DJ Pettetti, Farron, Wells, Fenson were the 10. Fenson, as mentioned, was a part of the crash, so he finished well down the order. And obviously, we're going to have plenty of these types of races that are going to go by pretty swiftly. These races back to back to back to back onward. Marshall Whitlow will start on the pole tonight. Chase Townsend in second for split number 2, heat number 2, if you will. Sean Smith, we mentioned him winning earlier today, will start alongside J.D. Brown. Brown, again, one of the pros in the past. J.P. Schweidler will start in the top 5. Aiden Schramm in 6th. Braden Donaldson will look to start 7th tonight, usually drives the ovals. Kane Hoy is in 8th. Rob Aton will start in 9th, and in the top 10 is the Ukrainian Ethan Doperdang. They'll start at the tail. As drivers mentioned and as fans mentioned, qualifying is so critical because the earlier your heat, depending on your setup, the more you're going to have in terms of potential speed, but also you're going to have to work a much different track by the time we get up to Heat 6 and then to the Alphabet. A lot of these competitors are going to have to make sure their setups are truly adjusted here tonight from top to bottom. Drivers roll their way off the line here and prepare themselves for a second heat. Again, no single racing line. We should see drivers move up to potentially where the pace truck is. You can see some of that line actually shuffling as drivers maneuver in that dirt, make it a bit more slicker, if you will. The rubber buildup where the top cushion eventually would come faster, as we touched upon. Drivers will have to search if they prefer to run around the brim of the racetrack at the bottom or up on the top later on this evening. So the entire field getting itself worked in, and a couple drivers trying to extend some more tire marks, at least up the racetrack. In terms of the preparation marks here, so far so clean. Again, we mentioned this event using the 410 sprint car. That's the most powerful open wheel, dirt car on iRacing. It's purpose-built. It's a short track weapon, as someone described. 900 plus horsepower, no aids. It's important to make sure as a driver you have some good heads up, because all you have essentially is your massive flat wing for the top for downforce in this machine. You can also get some wheel spin if you hit this throttle too hard or you make a mistake through the turns. Just about ready to fly. The field already flying away. Pace truck off. Green flag waves. We're underway. Heat number 2 of the evening. Whitlow, good start. 3 wide in the middle of the field. Sees drivers like Townsend trying to steady up. J.D. Brown, he's the first one out of the bubble for the time being to begin off the race. See Braden Donaldson, one of those trying to get to work right now, using the bottom. Your contact with Schramm couldn't clear by as Brown continues to stay comfortable. Brown, one of those that's going to be looking to expand the line. You see they've moved up at least a full lane, and contact behind. Hoy is involved. Schramm loses the wing. He's nearly flipped over. Donaldson also had contact. That breaks up the pack. And now it's Brown, as well as a couple others that have a shot to pounce on Townsend. Whitlow, by the way. Oh, there was a driver in the middle of the racetrack that just hit it. The 23 just made contact with Sean Smith. This morning's Super Session winner involved in contact and were under caution. So Ethan Doperdang had some issues and was stopped in the racetrack. And there are a few people not happy with that competitor. That has already seen Sean Smith have to potentially go to the full length of the alphabet as a result of the contact. Let's see this. And Field's just driving. Hello. That is a gut punch, to say the very least here. You had no expectation there was a car going to be there. I don't think anybody was expecting that. There wasn't any caution with him stopped there. Didn't get the trigger until, of course, the field went flying. 7 cars are now remaining after the contact, by the way. Aiden Schramm also came down with this caution period on the racetrack. And again, these laps do not count here, as we talked about. So they will get a chance to reset. Now, it can't be as simple as caution, caution, more caution. This is the type of event where you have a time limit for each of these heats. It's only 10 minutes. The races go fast, but if you think about it, you have any trouble, you don't have any time to breathe, you might lose laps. If you get caution, precaution. This is a big break for Schramm, though, to get the car fixed. And we'll get the chance to reset in the lead group. Single file coming up for the restart. Whitlow looking to really back up the field over Townsend and Brown. Tridor inside the top spots as well. You also throw Donaldson, Aton, Hoy, Schramm in the line. Green on green, we're back to racing. Brown parks it down the inside, looking for second. Townsend gives the space. On board the 33, he tries to use the top. Listen to the power. Attempt on the slider at a halfway point here this time by, as the 33 steps back in the line. Donaldson trying to take a poke on the inside. Donaldson's appeared with a couple different teams over the season, looking to stay out of trouble here in this one. Right now, running down in the 5th position. All those dirt pellets continue to go flying in the dirt clods, if you will. Right now, most of the field just stayed in the same line, extending the line as we talked about. Whitlow controlling things. Townsend continuing to slide up. J.D. Brown getting a little bit tight. Nobody able to get a slider yet. Coming to 2 laps to go. Schwaderberg get a chance to go for an attempt. He scraped the wall by the flag stand. Diamond line by Brown, trying to find something different. Coming up to 1 to go. Here comes the 33. Cuts to the outside. Cut back down for Brown. Back to single file for the front straightaway. Final time around. Schroeder trying to hug his way up towards the cushion. Brown now defends the top, forces the cut. Side by side for the bubble for a moment, but it's still Whitlow, Townsend, and Brown up in the top 3 of the checkered. They're the ones that advance. 33, as he takes the frustration to the Armco barrier, is going to be on the outside, looking in. Schroeder, Donaldson, Aton, Hoy, Schramm were the ones who finished. Smith and Doubledane finished laps down. That's going to be huge for Sean Smith. We know he's got speed, not going to have track position as a result here tonight. As you can see, Tanner Pettit, he's going to be one to watch tonight. He was last year's Session 2 winner. Jacob Harris is in 3rd for heat number 3. Gavin Chatham starts down in 3rd, with Anthony Villagran down in 4th. J.D. Myers starts down in the top 5. Brady Baldwin in 6th. Kyle Robinson will start in 7th. Brody Borez, along with Donnie Watts and Kyle Rochelle, are amongst your 10. As you can see, the field's all running off and rolling here. Again, remind those just jumping in here for tonight's coverage. I hope you're enjoying the racing action so far. Be sure to say hello on our social media platforms if you want to be able to keep involved and be a part of the conversation here tonight. That being said, with the top 3 advancing once again, will we see any early contact? That's been the main decider of a lot of this action so far this evening. Seems as though, at least with the start of this run, for this track state, it's hard to pick up attempts to pass. It's been challenging so far to set up the opportunities, but hey, this track, with its corners being lawn and sweeping, bring a lot of intensity. There is the banking around here at Knoxville. This track is banked at 7 degrees. That's actually on the higher side for this type of racing. We've seen how some of the drivers have been able to utilize that a little bit to get power on the exits. So the entire field is just about set. The pace truck already rolling its way a fair bit ahead. We're ready for another heat. This is heat number 3. It's Pettit who leads them off. The green is out. We're racing for 10 more laps. Tanner Pettit, clean start. Chatham, slight job in a turn. Harris involved in contact. So does Vilgran. They both into the Armco as they keep running up front. Chatham held on to 2nd. Baldwin, Myers up inside the top spots. Now it's the question, can one of the US-based drivers, that's the 24 machine, get a run built up? The Speedway Shop machine, the Aussie, is currently on the bubble. But the caution is out. So the field will freeze with the yellow now out. And now they'll catch up to the pace truck as a result of all that contact. Looks like it may have been a part with Vilgran. No, it was Kyle Rochelle, actually, possibly, because that was an air driver that ended up towing into the lane. Can confirm back of the order on that opening lap, along with the air contact. He had been upside down on the racetrack. So 2 different incidents popped up in the span of a couple seconds there to put us immediately under the yellow. The entire field will reset, and this is going to burn a few minutes off the clock, obviously, but as you can see, they expand. Here's a look at some of that contact mentioned. This is the back of it. Right there, you see how it destroys the machine. Everyone else kept it straight, but you can see this machine, Rochelle, stayed upside down on the circuit. By the time they got back towards the flag stand, had to call for the caution flag to reset this field. A few drivers did send some profiles entering tonight, including Pettit. Tanner Pettit, after all, has been a pro winner multiple times, actually. 2-time winner. His team won a championship that he ran in and was a part of a tournament round back for Tanner Pettit Racing last season. He's also an outlaw karter, which means he runs essentially with some of the dirt karts down in Northern California. Pettit, can he get himself back-to-back Knoxville Nationals wins for this Super Session time slot? We'll see. The field, though, is setting itself up for a restart sequence. The pace lights are already off. Get things set up after a couple laps in the books. Rochelle did come back on the racetrack, but with the destroyed top of wing, everyone else will diamond their way down the track. We're back to racing. Pettit leading the charge, Chatham, along with Baldwin and everyone else. Now look at how much the groove is expanding. There's a bit more flexibility. Almost up to the cushion, in fact, with how much they've extended with the track just about at the point where lights will turn on. It's getting so dark. Just past 8 p.m. in session time here at the moment. Baldwin has Myers still providing pressure. JD still hounding the rear end, couldn't get there. Halfway this time by in heat number 3. 24 cuts down to the diamond line, avoids the slick. It's pretty tacky, actually. In terms of line, you have to look for the shiny stuff. If you look around, there's a little bit of slick at the bottom of at least a lane or a half a lane up in the berm. More so in 3 and 4, but much of the field has elected not to do that so far and use that to rotate. They've been electing it just right up at the cushion. The higher they go, it seems, the more they prefer to go. Looking on board, look at how much you have to work the wheel. You're never really fully straight except for a couple moments. 2-3 seconds, then you have to be right on the wheel. Here they come to the traffic. Rochelle stays down to the bottom. And it's also not just about that wheel, it's about the throttle inputs. You have to be near precise on it, as well as how much throttle input. You turn too much with the throttle, you can destroy the machine. As we come up to 1 to go, no major changes since the restart at all for your top 3 transfer spots. Pettit controlling the field at the white flag. Chatham, the highest out of anybody, groove lies in 1 and 2. Tanner Pettit in command, keeping command. Coming up to the checkered flag, it's Pettit who gets this heat. It's the 3rd of the night. And it goes to last year's winner. Chatham also advancing with Brady Baldwin. Myers, first one out with Kyle Robinson. Donnie Watts, Jacob Harris did finish in 7th. And Borres down in 8th. Rochelle and Vilgran were the drivers involved in incidents that fell laps down. But the show continues. It's Gunnar Harris looking to be the lead gunner up in the front of the field with Chase Stort next to him. It's Spencer Putney in 3rd with Aiden Stoll in the 4th spot. Aiden Sneed is in 5th with Matty Arnold, a fan favorite it appears, up there. Willie Cuddy in 7th, Travis Dutton in 8th, and Patrick Spangler will be a part of the 9 drivers in this group. So the field will take the chance to set up yet again. So far, we've locked in 9 names. We're about halfway through when it comes to our heat action so far. Big difference, you can already tell, just between one heat how much this track has seen the line expand now that the track state has increased. Originally, the retire marks being left by that pace truck around where it's running, but not anymore. The front and back straightaway near full lines expanded. There's also some slicks starting to form up towards the higher line in turn 3 entry. That's going to help rotate some of these cars as they set up for the corner. Better yet, might provide a little bit more options after some have not elected to approach that at the bottom of the track so far. The entire field will get itself into deep breath mode as from here on out, 9 drivers apiece with the field count here in this group. So the entire field is just about prepared to find out who gets the edge. Can somebody develop a pass? The physicality on lap 1 has been one of the main passing decider points here so far tonight. Now, with the pace truck off, the field can go when it's ready. It is. Green, green, green. Harris is off and away. Look at Putney going for second. Putney passing by Stewart. Stewart on the crossover, though. Looking to attack to the inside. Back and forth they go for second. Stoll watching, trying to make it 3 wide. Will take a look to the bottom. Instead goes back up top. Doesn't like the angle, resets. Getting ourselves ready to go once again to see where the passes come from. Matty Arnold is in the conversation. Just 5 are in the main group. 6 on back has become its own gaggle of machines. Arnold watches as Stoll on the inside. Got the diamond to work. Now uses the slick for the middle of the track. Spanning the groove with the rear tires yet again. Again, different sizes, front to the rears. Already, look at that up the track. Gunnar Harris went up to the cushion and then some. Nearly slammed the wall down. 21 in session is the only driver really experimenting that high up on the circuit. Now Stoll is, at least for entry. Aiden Stoll takes a look inside. Doesn't get towards the inside of drivers, though. That Majula C machine. One of those drivers who now gets contact for third, gone physical. Chase Stewart held onto it. Now the look again, past halfway. Look to the inside. Here we go again. Some of the pros duking it out. Stewart moved out of the transfers. Now Stoll has to hold on. Watch for Stewart for an aggressive slider. Here he goes. Not afraid to park the bus. Stewart able to park it. One of those competing in the 2025-26 championship race is a part of that format. And contact again. Stoll now moves Stewart out of the way. Here comes Arnold. 2 to go as Arnold hits the berm. Slammed to the wall for Stewart. He is destroyed. Arnold, he's got contact as well. Everybody getting physical for the bubble spot in Heat 4. Harris and Putney can drive themselves to the checker from here. We're at 1 to go. Arnold, slider inside. Not enough momentum though. What a boost for Aiden up on the top. He charges hard. Hardest up at the top most anyone's done. It's Harris, Putney, and Stoll who move on to the top 3. Arnold's the first one out. And as a shower of sparks go out at the back of the order, it's Harris, Putney, Stoll in the field for the A main direct. Arnold, Sneed, Cuddy, Dudden, Spangler, and Stewart all on the outside looking in. That got wild pretty quickly, but we still have a couple more heats to go. Our next heat is sorted. It's the German, Ross Kaiser, who's up at the front of the field with Mike Snyder in second. Caden Berry will start in row 2 with Bradley Cox in the top 4. Colton Brewer, he was the Session 1 winner last year. He's next to Damon McDonald in the order. 3 more are in this list. Brock Wilson, Gordon Snept, should say, and Easton Zent are a part of the drivers in this field. Of course, plenty of drivers got opportunities with the way the qualifying format worked for the previous World of Outlaws Pro Series powered by iRacing. get a chance to at least get some pro exposure, or at least in the qualifying ranks. Last season, 116 drivers scored some type of points during that series, whether it's Segment 1 with the sprint car or Segment 2 with the super late model. And a lot of those names have made their way into the field tonight, as you would expect, with a chance to showcase you can be the best out of everybody when it comes to this style of racing. Kaiser is going to try and make sure there's no issues off the rip, obviously. The lead machine gets such an advantage with the way things can work here with the pace truck, with how much the jump comes into play, the diamond off the corner and run fully ahead. Steppers build up in the session. Keep an eye on some of the names we mentioned. Brewer, one of the EPI drivers that's going to be a part of this pack tonight. Cox going to be one of those just outside the transfer spots. Barry looking to try and hold on as much as he can to the Just Racing Boys machine in terms of the top spots here. We're just about geared up for another interesting start here. The Berry family, a shout out to them, are watching along as Caden gets lined up for the start. The shadow of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. They're a little bit closer to the pace truck this time compared to the previous group. They're not back by about 7 truck lengths as before. This time, though, still about the same spot they dropped down. We're back to racing. 10 more laps on the board. Snyder on the top, and not a great start for Barry. He loses the transfer immediately. Cox made the pass. Here comes the move for Brewer as well. They're now all the way to the wall, up to the cushion. Brewer nearly got hooked. Held onto it with contact from Brock Wilson. Cox, though, is one of the fastest drivers on the track right now. See him just up the road, just took second. Right now, if you are Brewer, if you are Barry, you need to find a way to get to Snyder now, who didn't get a good exit off of 2. He's under attack. Here comes Barry. Barry able to make the pass. Now it's the one machine, the top driver in this session, looking to control things. A 93.10 in I rating, going back and forth for the bubble. Right now, Barry looking to see if the gap can grow. You can see Brewer. It's a little bit faster, though. Got the diamond. This track's really worked into a point where some of the passes, I think, are starting to develop. There it is for fourth for Brewer. Back and forth, halfway through already. Sliders going on. You see the 3. Wants those trying to stay comfortable in terms of your paint schemes. That's Brady Cox. Looking comfortable with the battle with Kaiser, but right now that bubble on screen is still intense because Brewer is looking to provide pressure. Traffic already getting past, some significant damage for McDonald. Brewer looking, a couple different battle packs for the race lead. Scraping the wall with Kaiser on the diamond, back and forth. Brewer and Barry on the crossover battle. That top box getting intense as Barry goes and parks it again. Hold on, Kaiser may have just had some contact with the wall, kept an eye on it and held on to it. Slide back for Brewer, coming up to 1 lap to go this upcoming time by. Barry up top, Brewer on the inside, up on the top box. Back and forth still with Kaiser, preferring to hold on to the cushion. Cox led at the line, final time around in the heat. Transfer up for grabs, race win up for grabs. Who gets some good starting position? Kaiser sent into the wall. Here comes Cox, who gets himself the win. Barry gets the transfer in the top. Some intense battling that sees our most intense race yet. Cox, Kaiser, and Barry all advance. It's about a 10.5 difference between Barry and Brewer. Snyder, Snapped, Zent, Wilson, McDonald, all have to go to the Alpha. The alphabet, they'll work after a wild run. And that's going to mean one more heat race, and then we go Alphabet Soup Racing. They've just seen the session tick over with Colton Bocas up at the front of the field. Baca should say, with Ryan Avila. That's a familiar name. In second, Corey Edmund is going to be up in the order with Neville Ulf up in the top spots. Adam Elby, Trey Smith, along with Michael Lane, Greg Robinson, and rounding out the order in the field is Tashimo. Suke is one of the lone, if not the only, Japanese driver in the field. Avila top 10 in the segment 1 points earlier on in the year with the World of Outlaws pro season through 2025-26. It's going to be one of the names to keep an eye on. Ulf has been racing since 2020. The JSI SimSports machine and our driver are going to have to keep an eye on to see if they make a name for themselves. The 44th driver in this split, in terms of the iRacing split. One of the Aussies in the field. In fact, this group has 2 of them, as well as a couple of Europeans/South Americans in the order, as we mentioned, 1 Japanese driver. It's a very diverse iRacing service, to say the very least, a part of the special events here that have been taken apart in the entire week. It's been a late afternoon preset in terms of the session scheduling for August the 15th to prepare for the Super Sessions. Drivers had to make sure they had a dirt license here, higher or a D with a 4.0 safety range, so essentially just before promotion, to make sure they had the opportunity to then race in the Knoxville Nationals presented by Simple Tire. As we get ready to fire off, we find out pretty soon who's going to be the best out of them all in heat number 6. Colin Bacchus looking to control the pack. He's one of the drivers under the Right Go banner who also races a fair bit of dirt. He'll look to sling some dirt here in this one. Green, green, green. We're underway. And already look at the battle for the transfer. Edmund, LB, amongst those going after it. Also as Neville tries to go to the rear end. Trying to go middle, but here comes LB's slider. One of the old-time veterans trying to get something to go here. Battle is on all across the field inside the first few spots. Race lead, Ryan Avila is going after it as well. Slide job battle at the front. Slide job battle for 4th/3rd, I guess you can still say. But Edmund seems to be in control. It says, make a difference on that hashtag on the front of the machine, depending on your look on paint schemes. He's looking to make a cut to the inside, back and forth for 3rd. Schmidt cuts back, looks to go to the rear. Now looks for the slider through the slick. That's really worked itself in, really shining now with the lights bright. Edmund try to park middle. Schmidt moved down, leaned on him. 47 to the wall. It's Edmund up in the fence. Straightens it out, but has destroyed the Nerf bar a little bit on the front end. That has now seen Schmidt control the bubble with the contact, but don't count out LB. LB looking for a setup here. The Alpha Industries machine. All of them stay up at the top this time. Edmund's made his way down to pit road, already past halfway. That's how quick the runs go. You see the troubles there for Lane. Lane will have to work his way. The leaders are going to have to be careful. Lane's against the wall. Leaders are coming up to it. I believe there may have been a reset as everyone else able to zip on through. Can't confirm. Lane is off the track with less than 2 to go. Vila still holding on. Bacchus up in front. Schmidt on the bubble. 2 laps to go. LB. He's been staying up at the cushion. Is that a setup, or is he just waiting to figure out if there's going to be a mistake? Final time around in heat number 6 before the alphabet. Close on for Schmidt. Closed up to the rear end. LB trying something. Is that going to work low side? They all went middle to defend. Ryan Avila runs away with the win over Bacchus. Schmidt in the top 3. LB, Robinson amongst those out. Ulf, Yavtashima also part of those who took the checkered Unfortunate for Lane and Edmond, they are amongst those who, especially for the 47, had track position. Instead, deep in the alphabet for them, 3 laps down apiece. So look top to bottom of the running order in that respective group. And now it gets interesting because you're talking about consolation time. How things work, it's going to be simple. The E-Main, going to be only 10 laps coming up here. And as we transition, these are the names that are going to try to advance. Top 4 go to the D-Main. Spangler starts at the front along with Wilson. Lane in 3rd, Wells in 4th. Sean Smith put a star next to that name in the top 5. Kyle Rochelle is down in 6th. Chase Stewart, another star, down in 7th. Damon McDonald, Corey Ettman could be interesting to watch for in 9th. Henry Fenson really riled up after Heat 1. Will look to go from 10th. Dupperdane will look to try and make sure no issues in the middle of the track. Same for Anthony Vilgrand. Amongst your drivers in the group. It's been getting extremely physical here tonight, to say the very least. And now we find out as it gets more and more darker. We're past 9 p.m. in sim time after all. Who gets it done the best? And just so happens, I believe teammates are up at the front of the field between Spangler and Wilson, so there is a chance they control things in this order. But the tough part is going to be simple. Can he stay out of trouble? After this point, you add an extra 2 laps. There are 2 laps of variance, but you still have to make sure you're in the top 4. And then, here's the part. Of those who advance here, they'll be essentially at the back of the D-Main. Then who's from the D-Main to the back of the C-Main and so forth. The alphabet's going to require being one of the fastest drivers on property and then having to claw your way through everybody later tonight. This entire pack is just about ready to buzz yet again. Part of your order again. You want that chance to go to the last chance saloon, as they call it, with the B-Main transfer. This is a part of the setup. It's time for the alphabet. It's the E-Main. 10 laps up on the board. Here on iRacing and on Racespot. Pace truck is off. This time they're waiting all the way towards the front straightaway. The leanest start of the day. We're to racing for the E-Main and immediately getting turned. Right from the get-go, Brock Wilson's upside down. So is Kyle Rochelle. They both crash. McDonald's crashed with Vilgrand. At least 4 drivers have crashed in the opening lap. Spangler has pulled away. Your transfers the green line. Brock Wilson still against the wall. Not too many people, if anybody, can run the cushion. Caution is out. There were a lot of destroyed race machines everywhere. And that is a little bit understandable in terms of why we're under yellow here. Sean Smith did charge his way already amongst the top few spots here as a result of the chaos, the firestorm already in the bubble spot. "22 starters, remember that's the number for later on tonight. And some of these drivers immediately said, you know what? Firework. That was not a great start for Wilson with the turnaround. And then, bit of contact right there with the 3 wide. A little pinch up. Rochelle gets turned around. McDonald got squeezed. Falls into the path of another one of the drivers in Vilgrand. And there are a lot of people having a lot of conversations apparently in the session. So at the very least, everybody is finding out who's friends with everybody here. The entire pack, as they take a breath, it's going to be looking to try and see where the fire-off goes this time. Right? Already out of the 11 or so in this group are already down to about 8, maybe 7, I should say, running on the circuit. Pretty soon, we'll see them get back to racing. Lap number 2, concluding this time. Pace lights are already off. The entire field making acquaintances with one another so far here tonight. Let's find out how many people make acquaintances this time. It's been a bit more difficult to set up passes from the single file restart, but Spangler seems to want to wait until that pace truck is fully off. He does this time. Back underway, bit of a bobble for Wells. Look at Smith, he's under attack immediately by Stewart. They leaned on each other. A little bit physical for the bubble. That green line is where that cut line, remember, is. For those who just tune in, Stewart is in the wall. Stewart hit the wall, pushed to the back of the order, still driving. Believe with some contact maybe, or a correction with the send from Edmund. There's a little bit of breathing room coming up towards near the midway point this upcoming time by for Smith. Everybody works up at the top of the floorboards, up along the baseboards, if you will, with the cushion. Rim riding up top, Spangler staying comfortable. Smith not really pushing the issue, now will for some insurance for third. Lane kept the pressure up. He's one of the lowest drivers in iRacing in this field in the 2800s. But here's the thing, if you have a fast car, you can win it as long as you're able to survive. Lane is all over the track, by the way, you've seen, with some contact with the barrier. Smith, now with that, will get the chance to clear and will. Chase Stewart out of the race. We're down officially to 7 on track. Sent back to the inside for Lane, but watch for Edmund. He's coming into it, coming to 2 to go. That 47 right to the rear. Hit to the wall again for Lane. Lane's gonna have to hold on to the wheel without destroying the car anymore. He's really fighting to get to the stay. It's bobbling in the corners. Edmund sends it. Edmund is up to the transfer with a lap to go. Here comes Vincent out of nowhere. Vincent slider, side by side. It's 3 wide. Contact below. Lane to the air. Edmund crashes right in the path of the transfer spots behind. It's Spangler, Wells, Smith, and Villagran was scored ahead for a moment, but it is Vincent as things sort out. It was Villagran who got decimated right behind Vincent. Look at that, and they're immediately going to have to be ready. It's Spangler, Wells, Smith, Vincent who advance. It ends up being 2 seconds with Villagran destroyed. Edmund, Lane, along with Stewart, Rochelle, Wilson, a part of the top 10. McDonald also did not finish. So look at the order here in this group as these drivers had some fireworks and then some. Here's a look at how they'll sort in the next group. They are led by DJ Patetti with Kane Hoy, Jacob Harris, and Travis Dutton up there. Then it's Easton Zent. You have Tashima also going to be up in the order. James Farron in 7th, Aiden Schramm in 8th, Boris, and then your drivers from the last part of the alphabet. That includes Spangler, that includes Wells, that includes Smith. We're going to have to claw their way through, and Fenson, the last one in. Physicality. You gotta love it. Let's try this again, but now with 12 on the board. 12 laps. Same number advanced, but now more cars, more laps. That's going to be the case as we add more and more cars into the factor for what we see for the Alphabet Soup. As they all prepare for this part of the order, so the drivers, again, you're going to have to watch definitely Smith. We know that part. But Teddy, going to be an interesting one to see if they're going to keep the track position here at the moment in the Teddy Racing machine. Some of the errors that are going to be interesting to keep an eye on here. Aiden Schramm seemed pretty quick for some of the physicality before. So some of the names definitely to watch for here, a part of this field, as they all group together and get set to fly in about a lap's time here for the pace laps here this evening. Remember, the key skill, managing that right rear tire, is going to be interesting with the corner entry angle, and we've seen how critical it's been to time it up. A few drivers, as their setup's gone away, as this track has gone more and more higher on the track state, it's gotten harder and harder to hold on. It's been like riding a Bronco for a couple of these machines. just imagine what's going to happen by the time we get to the 35 lapper. We're so far about an hour into the action so far here tonight as we prepare for the group again. Top line start. Teddy off and away. This is an official session. Drivers taking the choice there to do that. Harris immediately on the attack. Well, Zent will have to dodge cars. That was a flip once again for second in the order. Hoy is upside down. The field getting checked up and slamming with 3 wide. Tashimo still squeezing her way through. Spangler has gone from the back already to just outside the transfer. More trouble and more contact. Spangler's around and the caution is already out. And this was getting ugly. It's Boris down the racetrack that's a part of the issue, it looks like this time, for the caution trigger. There were a couple drivers upside down. Boris also collecting James Farron. Here's a look at Hoy. This started the whole chain reaction that lasted 2 full laps. And oh boy, Smith was in it. So no sweep of the weekend for Smith today. Then they crashed by the time they got around the next time. Started here, slam and up the wall, and then Farron joins in. Black flag for the 56. So that already collects 4 or 5 drivers, including a couple contenders there. Early trouble. Now it's going to be an issue for a couple of the drivers from here on if they're going to be able to survive from this point forward without physical. It's got it. Up front, the light's about to turn off the pace truck. DJ Patetti up at the front of the field. Harris, Zent, Schramm are the drivers in the transfers for now as we gear up for the restart. Right now, DJ looking to set things up. If you look back to the name, has been a driver on the platform for a little while, to say the very least, and looking to stay out of trouble today. It's one of those that's picked up lots of wins and lots of name recognition in some other circuits in terms of the officials. But tonight, it's been pretty solid in this D main so far, but how long will it last? We're back underway. Lap 2 now complete. They'll move up to the top groove. They have 12 minutes on the clock if necessary. Zachary Wells got a black flag this time. He was one of those passing on the inside. That's going to be a problem for him. Everyone else staying up the cushion. Here comes the Japanese driver, the 31 on the inside. The Chima looking to fly, gets back in line, hits the wall. A couple of our drivers like Fenson. How about Fenson? He's been clawing his way through both orders so far. He's going to have to get by pretty quick out of this battle for the 5th spot if he wants a lot of runway to get to Schramm. Wells believes still amongst those yet to serve a penalty, might get a disqualification in a moment. Fenson on the cushion. Get a chance to clear down the back straight away. Looks like the answer is yes, he will. It's Fenson to 5th. Halfway this time. Oh, and as they all battle, look at the slide right in front of Schramm. Fenson able to rip it away. As a driver that's got an experience here in some of the racing events at this facility this week. He's looking to make sure he holds on to 4th. Coming to 4 laps to go. Right now, the gap for the race lead, just 9/10 of a second. Still a fair bit, though, for Jacob Harris. Zent and Patetti looking like they're pretty steady. Schramm's not been able to make any inroads. Time-wise, remember we talked about they're in 15.7s earlier? They're running as low as the 16.9, some of the drivers. Fenson looking to find more track position for later, parks it for second. Fenson again, lines up, cuts underneath, trouble in the back. Is that going to be a caution? Possibly. The pace truck is out. Yes, it is. That is Tashima, who went up in the air. He was running in the battle for 5th with Schramm, and it didn't end well. Black flag 31. And the Japanese driver got a little bit close for comfort down the straightaway. You'll see right here. Bang, bang, climbs the wall. Just couldn't stop it from bouncing before the wing got sheared off by the catch fence. So as a result, that puts us down to 7 again remaining, a part of a 13-car field. Travis Dutton actually came down to pit road in 2. So it looks like Dutton may have had some issues or trying to make an adjustment and hope for the best, because there's plenty of time on the clock. That's not the issue. There's only going to be about 2 or 3 laps when we get fired up here. That's not a lot of time to do something here. Jacob Harris has basically led much of the way in the Bandit Special. Zent, Patetti, and Fenson are in the transfers. This is a second win possibly for Schramm if there's enough fire off here. Lights are out on the pace truck. Good news if you're Kane Zoy. Looking like he's back going with more repairs. However, back of the order is going to be a tough task for him as he's coming out from the berm. 14 laps again is going to be the distance when we increase things again for the C-Main part of the show here in a moment. Remember, these are the best drivers out of everybody on iRacing in terms of your points from the Super Sessions. Top Split Racing gets you there. They're off and away for this order. Don't look now, but Smith with a damaged machine is also gaining spots in 7th. But Vincent getting a little bit dicey with the send from Spangler. Spangler trying to claw his way to the owner instead alongside Schramm. Vincent takes the slider on Patetti, who's now in trouble with contact. He gets flipped around, save for Schramm on the final lap. Final time around. Harris coming to the checker flag gets the D-Main win. Zent, Vincent, Spangler appear to be the top 4, and yes, they are. Contact coming across the line, coming to the 1 to go into turn 1. That sees Smith just outside the show for the next part of the letters. Dutton, Hoyt, Deshima, Patetti, Schramm. Part of some major physicality. That's why the intervals look the way they do. Wells, Farron, and Borez multi-laps down here on this one. Looked out the bottom of that one, and now we get ready for some C-Main racing, led by Aiden Sneed, the 32. Mike Snyder's 22 is in second. Greg Robinson in the top 3. Then Dane Speckelmeyer in the top 4. Rob Aiton along with Donnie Watts, top 6. In the order as well as Willie Cuddy with Gordon Sneft. You have Ulf. Then the drivers from the last part of the alphabet. Harris, Zent, Fenson, a part of those able to find their way into the transfers. Patrick Spangler gonna have to try and work without teammates now in this one. Huge names out of the show. And now we find out who's able to advance out of the next 4. Again, remember, 4 advance from this part of the alphabet into the show. Aiden Sneed looking to try and keep command. A lot of those who have stayed in control have been your race leaders, but a couple as of late have started to fade. The pressure is on to get a good launch. Sneed, one of those with some racing experience, looking to keep things together. You look back into the racing resume as one of those that races some real-life action. Carolina, in fact. And today, we'll look to try and see if they can advance a couple steps to the alphabet. If you're keeping track on if anybody is trying to go through the alphabet soup left, Benson and Spangler are your 2 candidates to try and do the near impossible. They have to do it again, especially with Spangler being in the back of the order. Look at how much they're dropping off the pace truck, though. They are looking for an early start, it looks like. Here we go. Pace truck looking to drop off. Sneed takes the cut across the slick. Off and away we go. Snyder not as great of a launch. The field rumbles for 14 laps. Don works his way up and contact already. Speckelmeyer hits the wall and loses a wing. He collects Easton Sent. Also collecting Jacob Harris a little bit. And now as the field takes the caution, Gordon Snap brings it out. He goes upside down, car 51. And that was a quick yellow flag. They'll immediately see us have to restart with 13 to go. All started with that back straightaway Fiesta. Zen is very lucky. I think they avoided significant damage, but Dane Speckelmeyer in particular was the spark plug. Snapped, got by it, and it got bad there. Squeeze up on the wall, flipped upside down, and of course, as their drivers pass on by, that's what triggers it for the Pink Panther. A lot of these machines, as a result, will get geared up for the restart in the next few moments. 3 drivers will take the time to get repairs this caution period. And of course, you see one of the drivers they're going to be watching for, then see just how things go for Willie Cuddy. One of the drivers that is those who have World Championship experience having to work their way from this part of the alphabet. Right along with the late model side, also has a super late model for the pavements, paint-wise, that people worked on for him. But the Cuddy Speed Shop machine looking to try and cut through the pack. Here we go. Just about time for the restart. Pace truck is already at the other end of the straightaway. That's how much Sneed's backing up the field here. Much of the track getting slickened up for those who have kept an eye on that one. Going to provide a lot more for the rotation. Look at how much it's built up on exit. We're back underway. Lap number 2 rolling. Donnie Watts amongst those battling. Willie Cuddy also trying to go. On the bubble, it's going to be the 50. Rob Ayton trying to hold on for that bubble. Cuddy not getting the best of rotation off the exits, but Watts sure is. Look at his center roll. Oh, and contact for the transfer. More drivers into the wall. Finson is in it. One of those trying to make through the soup. Patrick Spangler got through it all. Penalty for Harris. And yet again, the field is broken up. Zent involved with the caution now out. Finson is the trigger. Donnie Watts amongst those with a black flag now in session. And that all sparked off from Donnie Watts. He in the 50. Contact. Finson also ends up demolished from that. Finson looked like he had the ability to potentially go from the back to the front multiple times. Donnie Watts just did not get the best of exits there with the contact. Physicality really expanding here. A little bit of chitter chatter over the radio. The 50's very lucky. Still holding on to the top 4 from the contact, it looks like. And Rob, surely, though, is going to be a bit wounded. There is some front damage that's going to have to be held on to here. You still see how things look for some of the errors like Greg Robinson. Elected to go with everyone's favorite color, primer gray, for your machine tonight. For those ask, well, that's just with the stamp number. It's with both. Right now, find out if Robinson gets it done. So now we're one of those that's ran official races, a part of the tour. Specifically, I'm talking about the Dirt 410 Sprint Car Tour. That's the official series, essentially, that's been running for a few years now. Vinny Sanzone amongst those who picked up some championships. Bradley Cox, who we've seen earlier. We've seen that with Barry, who's also been a 3-time champion in a row for some of the action in that respective series, or a couple of championships at the very minimum. A few drivers have definitely picked up some of the wins. But let's find out how this goes this time. Off and away we go, green and green. Good start off the field for Sneed. You see some of the drivers working towards the berm of the racetrack, not directly to it. That is Ulf trying to find a way to hold on to what is now the transfer. Does that last though? Spangler's in the conversation. Robinson trying to hold on top with a car that does not want to rotate well. That setup's gone away with the track warn. Contact that time with Harris. Spangler drove by, is now in the bubble. Spangler, the last driver from the E-Main, looking for third. Spangler looks like that machine is really good at this track state right now. The setup's done right. What he's done in terms of to adapt to it with the driver is done well. And that's why he's doing such a good job, it seems. But Willie Cuddy, coming up to start lap 9, is ready to try and get some speed, looking like he's finding some cuts here. Cuddy working the bubble. See if physicality. Ulf with Sempt getting contact and another flip for the 51. Will this be a caution? Jacob Harris has some penalties on the board. He's right now in the top 4, and Sneed has crashed. The leader has crashed on their own, coming out of the corner. Caution is out, and Sneed is demolished. Right now, it's Snyder off of the front of the order. Ulf, one of the drivers in. Here is Sneed, ran up top and hit the wall. Flipped over and hit second. What a busy night, and now with multiple different drivers added to the collection of damage, Patrick Spangler has to pit. He was just in the conversation with the transfers too, and now he has to get the wing fixed. And here's the thing, I know one person asked, hey, is there a faster pair? No, there is not. It's not like what we see for some events. This race, you do have to get the damage manually repaired, and Spangler is going to have to make sure he gets it done pretty quick, as they are still going to pace around for another lap. As things look, by the way, it's Snyder up at the front of the field, it's Harris, it's Cuddy, it's Ulf now in the top 4 spots. The JSI machine, all of a sudden, is on the bubble. Obviously, it's getting a little bit physical, as someone picked up on here tonight. And it's been physical from the start, at least in this field. Now we'll find out just what they're able to do. Your bubble driver, mind you, has ran a lot of dirt races as of late. Will look to try and hold on with a 3,900 I rating. We're back underway. He's ran upwards in your 2,400 starts in his iRacing career. But Robinson and Spangler want to take it away. Contact. Robinson bumped on the berm. Great stability that time for the 41 as here comes Speckelmeyer. Remember, Speckelmeyer was demolished earlier from the first caution of the race. Now he's watching along as Robinson gets alongside the 44. The battle of the drivers in the 40s with a couple to go. Ulf up the middle. Speckelmeyer 3 wide. Robinson, I think, has got something working on the bottom. Look at the gas pedal, though. The 40 slammed it. Speckelmeyer able to jump to third past Robinson. Final time around. Snyder and Cuddy have ran away. Transfer is on. Spangler looking defensive, sliding in front of Speckelmeyer. Crossed over back. They'll battle for third. Snyder, Cuddy, Spangler, Speckelmeyer appear to be amongst those in. Let's see how this sorts. It is Spangler over Speckelmeyer, Robinson a couple tenths back. Off amongst those out of the show as well, a part of that order. As we'll quickly look at that. Aton followed by Zent, Harris, Sneed inside the top 10. Harris and Sneed laps down. Harris had to serve a black flag, a part of this event. You also had snapped Watson, Fenson, who took some hardy cuts and hits. Here is your next group, and it's the big one. It's the B main. You have Austin Miller Jr., J.P. Schrader. You also have J.D. Myers and Matty Arnold in the top 4. Colton Brewer looks to be in the top 5 with Adam Elby in 6th. Brian Cross and Braden Donaldson will look to try and race their way in. Kyle Robinson along with Mike Snyder next in the order. Mike Snyder, the winner of the last run. Cuddy and Spangler looking to go through. Spangler the last from the E main left. Dane Speckelmeyer is at the tail. The field is just about set to roll, with the track state having to be around the 100% mark just about at this point, if it's not near it. But right now, here's the thing. 16 laps. It's the last chance to make the show. This is the last chance saloon. 4 spots to go to the A main and be a part of the 35-lap field. 22 starters. Cautions do not count, remember, in the A main also. And remember, it's the most dramatic race usually of the night because you're talking about drivers just outside the bubble. Drivers that had a little bit of bad luck. A few drivers that had some phenomenal races but didn't get the finishing efforts. And now, let's find out who is able to survive the pathway to get to your final and your main. So the entire pack's going to be interesting to watch. Obviously, Matty Arnold, one of the fan favorites, it seems, in his Precision Auto Body sponsored machine in the 30. Talked about Adam Elby, some pro experience years ago. We're talking about even when I was in the booth in the World of Outlaws series back in the day, about a decade ago, half a decade. Some of these drivers, some of the new age, also ready to fire. We're underway. Good start. And it's feisty immediately. Colton Brewer sliding for the top 4. Takes away the top. Elby, though, with a crossover. Meanwhile, J.D. Myers trying to slide up the inside. Runs at the berm. Schrader able to zip up to second as Brewer goes to the near contact. Elby on the slow roll. If you're really able to establish that bottom of the racetrack, you're able to do something because some of the best, at least years and years ago, were some that got that different line to work, especially in long run for the 35 lapper. I think there's a chance. Contact. Brian Cross is now up and around. Caution flag is out. It is for Cross. Here there was contact with Braden Donaldson, or at least a squeeze up from the 9-in sim. Donaldson get pretty physical, get pretty aggressive. I think there was already contact developing with him in the wall in the first place, and obviously the wing decided to nearly take a ride for the sky. Brian J. Cross, I think, avoided any significant touches or contact for damage, though. And now we'll try and get this sorted for a restart. That only got us about 2 or 3 laps off the board so far. They'll pace around one more time for the setup. We mentioned Brewer is a previous session winner. Both sessions last year were broadcast on the broadcast network. He is up in the top positions for the transfer right now. Brewer obviously keeping out of trouble. Has worked with drivers like Putney and a few others. We mentioned the EPI side where some of the back end is. And so far, if he can keep it out of any major panic, if you will, there is a chance he can try and defend things, if you will, for the top spots. Brian J. Cross, who was involved in an incident, one of the drivers who owns Sim Foundry, is actually an IMCA modified racer from Colorado. Did take some opportunity to work on the race car a little bit. Now we'll look to try and go from the back to the front as the only driver to have to pit so far for repairs. A little bit more closer to the pace car / truck as we've gotten deeper in the night. Miller hits the gas, did not take the cut though. Schreiber did. No one able to get side by side quite yet. A little bit of near wall contact for the 33. Near checkers for fourth. Adam Elby, the first one below the green line. Look at Elby, work that wheel. Tried the inside earlier, now tries the cushion. He'll try and cut his way, a lane down it looks like. Trying to go different contact wall. That's part of the risk with the cushion. That was Schreiderer who hit it and has lost the transfer. It's Elby now in the bubble. First one out of it, Braden Donaldson. Donaldson really digging up top, and look at Spangler. Leaned on the hitbox, trying to find a way to make his way from the back to the front again. Patrick Spangler has been impressing, I think, a few people here potentially tonight, or at least us in the broadcast, because it's so difficult to go from the back to the front 4 consecutive times. This is what we talked about for second, though, and why he's in a position to pounce. Got it too high in the cushion, hit the wall, kept out of contact, though. And that is why the 33 is dropped to out. Schreiderer is done. Contact up top, Donaldson. Already past halfway. All this as well, we come up towards the start of lap 10. You can see how much Brewers amongst those going after it. You see how much the work is being put in by Elby. Bouncing around, race lead change with Brewer just now. But Elby really bouncing about. Brewer has indeed taken the lead in the B main. Coming up to what is going to be 5 to go at the line. Miller and Myers changing spots again. And caution is out on the speedway. And oh no, it's Patrick Spangler. The 20 in Sim has caused a caution. And he was on his own. We've had another one hit the wall too high on corner exit. Right there, it digs, and into the wall. That is a tough break if you're a Spangler here who is looking really good. And that destroys the chance for Alphabet Soup to get served here. So the entire field will have to reset for a quick 5-lap, maybe 4-lap dash, should say, give or take. Brewer, Miller, Myers, and Elby are all the drivers and the transfers for now. Braden Donaldson may have a shot if he can find something. Braden Donaldson, the first one out, was 79 in last year's What About Law point standings. What About Law's point standings, rather. Made a couple appearances in the show. Now, it's going to have to dig to catch up to drivers like the 15, the 24, the 46, or very optimistically the 14 in so many laps. As some have said tonight, drivers are earning some hours into the sky. Let's find out who advances to the feature. We're underway again. Not a great start that time for Miller Jr. Here comes Myers, able to rip away a spot. Is that going to be a potential change coming up here for the bubble? Donaldson's close. Send back for Miller Jr. 4 to go. Top 3, 4 spots close. Donaldson nearly on the back of LB. LB keeping alongside for a moment, but the caution is out again. And it's another pink one up in the air. It's Miller Jr. that went in the air, in fact. The 46 ran too high in that battle for the transfer and went up airborne. On your pass, he's pink. And that is up in the air for Miller Jr. In the transfers, no more. Braden Donaldson is the new bubble. Time-wise, it's not going to be a concern for those wondering on that. By the time we get to the end, as long as we don't go caution, 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 should get to the end of the race with the total laps in the time limit. But we're looking at a 3-lap dash here. It's not a guarantee Donaldson is going to be able to hold on because Mike Snyder is also now in the mix. One of the droppers from the C-Main looking to do something. This entire field is in the midst of deep breath mode, if you will, to try and set up and relax for what's going to be potentially the final start of this B main. The Last Chance Saloon is about to call last call. When we get to the line, that call will ring to everybody with what's expected to be a wild end to this race. Bright side, if you're Patrick Spangler, you get to finish. He's back on the racetrack after 3.5 minutes of damage repair, combined in the past few cautions at least. He spent the last 43 seconds on repairs, but the field is off and away. 3 laps to the side and give or take here. Brewer, Myers, LB, Donaldson off and away. Snyder needs a massive lunge and then some to get there for the transfer. That 22 not making up any ground to start. 2 laps to go at the stripe. Donaldson's holding on. Right now, Snyder trying to keep a little space to the cushion. He slaps the tires against the wall. Last lap, this time by. Colton Brewer, right now holding firm in front. LB slowed up with Donaldson. LB can't afford any contacts or mistakes. They're already in the show. Looks like LB pressurized up the track, possibly a spot in hand. Already Brewer and Myers crossing with LB and Donaldson joining them. Those are your last 4 in the show. Rest of the field crosses with Brian Cross amongst one of the first drivers out of the show. Wooey Cuddy is also out. Snyder, Robinson, Arnold, Speckelmeyer. All will have to watch for the grandstands or for the broadcast. Also amongst those out, Spangler, Miller Jr., Schroeder, all out. So with that being said, we get set for your A-Main. 35 laps on the docket. We'll be back in just a moment. You're watching the Knoxville Nationals, once again from Knoxville, Iowa.
I've been sim racing since, oh my gosh, 2012 now. What year is it? That's 14 years or so. Oh man. I've never ever worried about an audience whatsoever. I always started YouTube and streaming to have fun and to interact with people. And that's all I've ever done. And it's, you know, been amazing to kind of find the same type of people who have just, for one reason or another, come to my channel, come to my stream. And I've met so many different people at racetracks and what have you. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I tell you, it's just a wonderful ability to be able to And again, I've done it for so long now. It's just grown into something I couldn't imagine, and I couldn't have even, wanted it, knowing what it is now. Proudest moment is still my 2021 E-Racer Firecracker 400 win. Dale Jr. pushing me on the last lap. I mean, that's probably will never really top that one. The only thing that would come close is hopefully a Coke Series victory this season. I'm always fighting my stomach and my nerves every race day. There's some sort of, your standard things you get to do on race day, and the streaming comes with a lot of extra little things, extra little details that come with the races. But since I haven't won, I don't know. I think I need to pick up some sort of something. More than ever, it's so huge to find a teammate out there, to be able to work around traffic. It can be very difficult to pass. At the same rate, it can be very easy to pass, but difficult when you got a lot of enemies. Alta's boys, we find each other in the race. We're sticking with each other, and it can be very difficult considering how short the races are as well. Everything has to go right, and every week is full on as much pressure as possible to get it right. As I've grown and learned, it's very beneficial to take care of your equipment, be patient when you get out there and the competition is very high. It's very easy to overdrive and try to keep up with the best of the best, where a lot of times you kind of have to bring it back a gear, put yourself where you need to be, find your spots out there on the racetrack, and run your own race. It sounds pretty simple, but at the end of the day, it's easily messed up. The Firecracker win is a storybook race for me, but I think it'd be really fun to test out some of the top of the line Cup drivers now. Kyle Larson, defending champion, Chris Rebel. Whoever you have at the top of the Cup. Tyler Reddick's having a hell of a season. I think it'd be really fun to go against those guys on the sim and see how it stacks.
Drivers have been racing all night to make it to this moment. The iRacing Knoxville Nationals, brought to you by Simple Tire, are just about to find out who etches their name into the history books here on iRacing and on Racespot. I'm Justin Prince with you once again here tonight as we get all set to go. As mentioned tonight, brought to you by Simple Tire, by automotive tires online for less. These drivers have been working hard throughout the evening, whether it's trying to survive the mains or whether it's from the heat races for those who will get the best track position tonight. And now we get set in the next few seconds to find out who will be the best of them all. Lots of big names a part of this order. Aiden Price, Marshall Whitlow among some of the drivers. You have plenty of others like Casey Simons, Colin Bokus, who look pretty quick. You have Ross Kaiser, one of the Germans in the field, and so many others, including one of the official champions, like Barry, trying to get things done here tonight. Your overall top driver in iRating this evening. It's an SOF of 45-45, and we're about to find out who's able to make it 35 laps to the win for your A main. They got 5 minutes to work on their final adjustments, make sure everything's good in the setup, and ready to fly for Knoxville Raceway under the lights. It's almost 11 in sim, but Aiden Price looks to see if it's the right time for him to get a win. Marshall Whitlow is in second. Tanner Pettit's in third with Gunnar Harrison fourth. Bradley is inside the top five. Cox alongside Ryan Avila. Then it's Dylan Yeager in seventh. Chase Townsend will be down in eighth today. Gavin Chatham down in ninth. Spencer Putney is in 10th. The European driver in Kaiser will be in 11th. Colin Bacchus will start in 12th, the Colombian. Casey Simons down in 13th, the Canadian, alongside J.D. Brown. Then it's Brady Baldwin, one of the Aussies in the field, with Aiden Stoll down in 16th. Then it's Cadian Berry alongside Trey Smith inside your top 18. Colton Brewer will have to claw his way through the order after going for the B-main with J.D. Myers, Adam Elby, and Braden Donaldson, all a part of your 22 driver field. Once again, top to bottom of your order, a part of championship night, if you will, for all the races that happen during the week to build points to get the chance to win the Super Session Championship. Earlier today, one driver was able to pick up that win in top split, Sean Smith, a part of 2 total splits. But tonight brings a lot of distinction to it as well, with it being under the lights here on iRacing on the big network here this evening and here on Racespot. These are some of the top drivers in all of the platform, ready to prove they can get the win here tonight. Remember, this format replicates the real Knoxville Nationals in the context of things because it's the World Series of Sprint Car Racing, as some describe it. If you win here, it was called at one point by one writer from the AP as Sprint Car Racing's premier title, the granddaddy of them all. And we're about to find out who gets that granddaddy of them all tonight. If you're watching along with tonight, be sure to say hello as we get ready to get these engines fired for green flag racing. 35 laps, caution laps do not count. Happy to have you with us here for the Knoxville Nationals, brought to you by Simple Tire. Field is geared up and ready to go. 22 of iRacing's best. The green is out. We're underway for the Knoxville Nationals A-Main. The field right to work down the back straightaway. Whitlow preferring the top, the bottom for Price. Some 3 wide already forming though. Tanner Pettit going up the middle. Braden Gunnar Harris into a checkup effect. Whitlow not looking the greatest in the short run so far on the fire off. Look how dark some of the slick is getting as some of these spots pop up and they pass all by the fireworks. Still firework bundles coming out as they zoom their way down the front. Look at that on the berm. Gunnar Harris amongst those working that inside line. You see him just running the left sides on the berm, but had to move up. Decline continues for Whitlow, who gets squeezed up. Whitlow backs out of it. Has to get off the gas and loses multiple spots. Dylan Yeager amongst those passing by him. In this race tonight, there are 5 drivers still with their black stripes. Price, Pettit, Avila, Cox, and Yeager. They just so happen to be 3 or 4 of those inside your top 5 to begin this race so far tonight. Cox, one of those, trying to pass by the only B licensed driver left, Gunnar Harris. Your lowest I rating, for those wanting the math, left, you have to go down to 34.85 by Whitlow. If you wanted to be here, a majority of these drivers are in the 6,000s. As the fireworks take a breath, the drivers continue to fight. Top 3 positions able to stay steady single file to begin. But here's the thing. Doesn't help a little bit, or may well help, if you're these two. Pettit and Avila are teammates. If you look at the logos on the front and then the right. That's going to mean they're in the same conversations. They're in sync, near identical setups. Here comes the question, will they have the long run set up to race against, their other teammate, Aiden Price? It's a teamwork 1-2-3 for TPR. Now, as these teammates try and figure out if they're going to have the speedo race long, you're in a little bit of physicalities popped up in some of the order with drivers like Brewer, who's dropped to the tail end. We also have one in the air in the background for the caution flag. It's Chatham and Donaldson that have brought us under yellow, and that will freeze the field just around 9-10 laps into the action. So once again, Caution laps do not count, so they'll roll the lap count, and here's the log. First seen Chatham, again, jump the cushion, slam into the barrier. That's enough to cause the issue. And our driver in Donaldson also went around and tried to check up, I believe, for it. And that is why we're back under caution. That is a commonality, it feels like, here tonight here in Knoxville. But if we do have the teammates pop up here, it's going to be an interesting conversation here on what they did to find the speed, to have the long run, especially tonight with this track at the highest track state it could be here possibly, that you can adapt for here. Those TPR machines, all we'll try and see where they work out. So, as they all get set to go for the restart coming up. Hope you're enjoying the action so far here tonight for this evening's coverage here on iRacing's main platforms, the iRacing Network. Aiden Price up at front. He's going to be in control here. Watch for him to try and get the cut again down the race lines. Gunnar Harris. It's going to be one of those that doesn't get the same count as the two drivers behind him here, probably. Here we go. Pace truck is already up by about 10 truck lengths. And they're already making the cut. There they go. The diamond as expected. Good timing for a majority of the field. We're back underway. Pettit went outside of Vila and Price went inside. They'll try and battle immediately for the race lead, and here we go again! It's Cox upside down. Caution is out. And that went quickly, and I think Cox is going to have to spin a while down pit road. PCR machine upside down, too high. Again, same spot. Climbs the wall, and then taking flight, and bye-bye Wayne as it crunches into the ground. Colton Brewer and Gavin Chatham also join in for repairs here. Still have to get their machines fixed. Phantom Motorsports machine, one of those who has to get repairs, one of the teams that has had some pro exposure from years ago. Meanwhile, cute kittens is what you can say if you're Dylan Yeager. Knowing him from years ago, this is obviously planned because he is an interesting character. And all I can say is for his VLR machine, if he doesn't get to have his normal pro scheme, he is going to make sure you are laughing at his scheme during the pace laps. Whether it's the kittens, whether it's Hello Kitty, Dylan's doing it all. Dylan Yeager, after all, multiple times getting some World of Outlaws victories in his career, so he is still one of those with the pro ranking, after all. Was one of the top drivers in terms of the point standings back in 24-25, in fact, in the top three for Yeagerball. As you can see, yes, as one person puts it, pizza always wins. Price, instead of, things like teammates or telling him about your team, will say, I just like pizza. Make sure his number stamp paint scheme also compares you maybe to Braden Laster or something. Green flag is out. We're back underway. Oh, a little bit of a bobble there for Price. They both went bottom, and yet again, Pettit went up top. Harris did as well. Already they work. Any troubles this time to the back straightaway? No. We get a clean run through. Continue to log laps. You can see just how much Gunnar Harris amongst those going after it. Slight jaws with Pettit. Yeager looking to try and send a Yeager bomb. Looks like one driver clapped the wall in the back. That might have been Shape D. Brown. Everyone else battling for the race lead. It's Avila trying to go alongside his teammate. Avila trying to wrap the top here. Takes the lead down the back straightaway. One of your top drivers in the world when it comes to last year's World of Outlaws Pro Series is up in front. Gunnar Harris for third also takes it. So teammates are starting to brawl and get broken up. As they all test the lines. Look at how many move down, but the caution is out because JD Myers is around from 17. JD Myers has had to put the car on the tow truck. 24 has now also lost a wing after, I think, something interesting happened here. Look at the left side tire. See, it digs into the ground, and that caused him to then collect a couple others, join him in the wall. Brewer, along with Donaldson, believe, part of those getting repairs as a result. Obviously, it's very difficult, as some would say, with this outside wall. It's become a test theory. Remember, at least back in the day, one of the conversations when it came to the dirt racing, a track like this and some others with the cushion is, you get higher up in the groove, you find that extra bit of speed. In fact, a lot of speed. But here tonight, look at how that dirt is pushed up against the wall. It's really higher up against it. If you climb that and just miss that mark on the onboard as you're adjusting to that line, you climb it by a matter of inches, it seems like you are done for tonight. You get pushed in, there's no way to recover. You see it to the guardrail, they're all set up for the restart. 14 laps complete this time by Chatham and Kaiser. Amongst those who got multiple minutes of repairs, also getting some, was Colton Brewer. All set to go. If you're enjoying the action, hit that like button. Because Ryan Avila is pressing like right now. He's led a few laps now. Couple this time you'll get on the board. His team has led them all. We're back underway. Look at the three wide immediately. Pettit, Harris, and Yeager were trying it. Look at Harris, slight job inside. Gunnar Harris sends it deep. A little bit deeper on the exit. That causes the crossover attempt by Price. But it feels like Harris has something. Look at that, he pushed the envelope too. Gunnar Harris into the pack. Gets slammed into by the 27, and we're under caution. That it was Bacchus getting some contact, and you could see that coming the second he sent it with the extra throttle. Took the risk, and did not pay off. See this again. Predictable, right? You run too high, you run those dirt walls, and then you climb up that white Armco. The problem is, if you run away from the wall, you're losing speed, especially, and here's the part that people forget, if you're set up to run the cushion, it's not as easy to translate that to running the berm in comparison. You need a car that can either adapt to both fairly similar, or you prioritize one or the other. As you can see, well, still a 2 to go. There's a lot of people at the least getting some time for repairs. Harris, Chatham, Kaiser amongst those still under pit road sequences here. Some of your big movers, LB up 9. We'll also throw in some drivers like J.D. Brown, who have picked up a few spots here, about 8 or so. There's been some good pickups on some of the climbs to the order from some of the stalwarts, if you will, on the platform. So once again, Avila will control things up at the front of the field. Ready to control this over Price and Pettit. There they go on the diamond. We're backing away. TPR dominant so far tonight. Dylan Yeager, the 4 machine. He's trying to find a way to get ahead. He's now up in the top 4 with some of the trouble already forming. He's looking to show that he's still got some tricks in him. Look at him pass on the inside. The old school line, if you will, I guess you could say, putting up some good speed, especially down the front. Gonna get it done, though, with the leader breaking away. Right now, Pettit amongst those working the wheels down to the bottom of the circuit. Yeager still not able to get something sorted out. J.D. Brown is a part of that top 5, also in the mix. Spencer Putney is still in this conversation, the main group. You have to find a way to march ahead. The speeds already a second and a half, 2 seconds slower than the start of this event tonight. We're running near 18-second lap times. Getting a little bit dicey here. Brown looking to get around, and it looks like Price is fading. Remember, he started the runs at the bottom. Now he's moved up top, and he is dropping slowly through the order, like a slow tire leak. Got a cross up at Brown, but now he's been put behind Pettit, Yeager, and now just tries to hold off the others. Looking on board, this is J.D. Brown. See Brown really being patient here, testing on different lines. He's preferred the top, obviously. Keep in mind, the majority of your front runners are using the bottom. We talked about that's usually the better line long term for speed, usually for the best of the best teams, at least has been since the mid-2020s. Yeager is amongst those, keeping still there. Price is working the middle for comparison. But Ryan is gone. Ryan's off and away by more than a second in dominating fashion, while Brown tries to pass by on the outside. One of those in the 9,000 IR bracket, able to move up ahead. Right now we're under 10 laps to go. That's how quick this run's gone. It's one of our longest runs of the day. Let's take a look at a couple battles. Second, 11th on your screen. 11th has trouble. It's Brewer up and over. Caution flag is out, and this changes a lot. Baldwin up and over to put us under yellow as he apologizes on the radio. With lap 27 started, the lead is gone for car 5. See, Brewer, he went too high as well, and bam, right into the Aussie. That causes another caution. And so, now it becomes the huge game plan on what do you do to try and take advantage of this. Is there going to be a chance for someone like Brown or Yeager to get a run? Because here's the first hurdle. It's that car. The team boss is going to be a hurdle when it comes to Pettit. It's not been easy to pass, not been easy to even get side by side with, it feels like tonight. And now you're going to have to find a way to get a slide job on him, possibly. Park it in front. Don't allow a cross up to lose the spot back by the next sequence of corners. Oh, and by the way, then you only have, let's say, 5 laps after that, because an estimate 3-lap setup. Depending on how quickly you get the job done, you help yourself out more. But someone like Brown or Yeager have to get this done here immediately to keep up with the leader. Buckle up. This is potentially going to be an interesting end to this one. This race going by swiftly. The pace truck already to the air end of the straightaway. Reset, it's Avila, it's Pettit, it's Brown, it's Yeager, it's Price and Putney, Stoll, Elby, Barry, Simons are in your top 10. Here we go, the launch is off. Ryan Avila able to get a great launch and pull away. Look at the run on the outside for Pettit. He's already seen Brown defend one step. Next step, get a slider. He needs to go for it with coming to 7 to go. Yeager still keeping pressure on the inside. Keeping pretty tight with the race leader to begin at least, but look at that, Brown hit the bumps. He has to get off the gas. It's Yeager to third. They'll drive by a wounded Baldwin. Brown lost a ton of time, and Yeager's to second with a slider. Can he get the Yeager bomb? Maybe the Jägermeister coming to 5 to go this time. He's still not done for seconds battle though. He's preferring to wrap the inside. Can he cover off the top? Not yet. I believe he does a little bit, but look at how much Pettit's gassing it up. Is that going to be too high this time? No, it's not. 4 laps to go. This time, Avila's running away. Baldwin still turning laps to the inside. Not an issue. Stoll amongst those in the background. It's got it up to the battle for the top 5. So is Adam Elby from the B main. 3 to go for car 5. Right now, the time difference is still positive for the Ryan Avila machine. He's running 17.956 was the mark last time, 18 flat average. Only driver comparative is Yeager, but the problem is he's not chipping away at all. With 2 laps to go, all Ryan needs to do is need it to stay green, and he can run away with this one. Look at Pettit try something. Pettit trying to go for a miracle, but the caution is out. Caution is out, and how does this go now? It was J.D. Brown, I believe. Yes, he went around with contact with Whitlow, so afterwards they'll both get repairs, and this is going to get interesting to end it. Look at this, J.D. Brown, too high up on the bobble, trying to hold on to it, but as you can see, Whitlow came through, hit the side. And now, this is going to get interesting to end this. Oh, by the way, they're talking about Gunnar Harris on the radio right now. Where is Gunnar, you may be asking? Well, he is apparently, amongst those that is trying to survive the night, and is one of those still functioning on the racetrack. As this field gets itself prepared to get sorted yet again to end off this race, it's gonna be an end to remember for that 21 up to 7th. So here we go. We'll get ourselves the lights off pace car in a moment. How's this gonna end? Again, we are not going to have concern for time. This is quite simply the race potentially here, and will likely be the race here unless any major trouble happens. Avila's already backing up the field and then some. He needs a stellar launch over Pettit or Yeager or anybody when we get fired back up. Can TPR get a 1-2 here tonight in the Knoxville Nationals? Here we go. Launch and a poor run for Pettit to start. Big jump up front. Final lap ticks over possibly. Yes, indeed. It's Avila already with the edge. Pettit will need a miracle send. Will not go for it from deep. Ryan Avila will come out of the final corner to win the Knoxville Nationals. And a crash for LB at the line. LB falls down the order to 8th at the end. Pettit, Yeager get on the podium. What an end to the night, and 19 laps led for the 5 machine here this evening is what allows them to celebrate. Look at Dylan's celebration. He comes congratulate him, and everybody joins in on the hugs. Even Aiden Stoll's doing burnouts down pit road as that lights the fireworks. Let's take a look at the results. Ryan Avila, Tanner Pettit, along with Dylan Yeager in the top 3 here this evening in this one, joined by Aiden Stoll, Gunnar Harris in the top 5. Price, Simons, Albee, Townsend, and Smith all were in the top 10 tonight. You also throw J.D. Brown in the mix. He fell down to 11th. Colton Brewer in 12th. Whitlow was the last one on the lead lap. Everybody else, multiple laps down, including Chatham, Baldwin, Putney, ended up 5 down. Barry, Donaldson, Kaiser, Cox, all down the order, significant spots. Then Bacchus and Myers also down the order. Your race winner now joins us. Ryan Avila coming away with the job done. TPR 1-2 here tonight, Ryan. How are you feeling to get the job done tonight as you lead a lot of laps? You led 19 of them.
Amazing. Last year Tanner had won it, and last year I didn't make the main, so pretty sick to go 1-2 and honestly just lead a couple laps there. And we look back 3 years ago, we couldn't even finish in the top 10. So this year at Knoxville we've been really good. Winning the Knoxville Nationals and the Pro Series race here. So amazing job. Can't thank Tanner enough. It's been a sick week.
As you mentioned, you picked up pro experience here. How was it, obviously, to build this type of setup here for this track? Because I believe you're one of the few that seem to prefer much of the run to the berm, which, at least back in the day when I was one of the comms for the World of Outlaws, was the faster way than the cushion long term.
Yeah, and I think now it's it's a little bit different than a couple years back. Like even last year, everybody was running the bottom, and Tanner made it work on the top. So. Just the cushion and it's so choppy and it's massive, honestly. In 3 and 4 you could not get up, you just ramp above it. I think Gunnar and ultimately Bradley, real good contenders this week, they wrecked out just because of that reason. So just glad to have good guys racing around, and race Aiden real good at the end there, or at the beginning, and made my moves pretty quick, 6th to 3rd in the first lap. So just played my time right and just kept my composure. And found that top line in 1 and 2 to be pretty good. That grip never went away, and it would just set me up perfectly for the exit.
Great speed here tonight, Ryan. Congratulations. You get yourself a Super Session victory and put your name into the record books. Congrats.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just got to thank Tanner Pettit and just everyone over there, and 1425 Photography, Jimmy P. Mac Tools, Aces Up Sim Sports, CD Photography, Trackside Collective, Blake Koch Racing, Ethan Johnson, Samurai Market. Sick week and real good year for us.
Congratulations once again to Ryan Avila, who gets the job done tonight here in the Knoxville Nationals. Dylan Yeager also taking some opportunities to catch up. Dylan, it's been a few years, but tonight you bring that pink machine up into the podium positions. Talk us through the efforts, because you have to claw your way through it.
Hey, Justin. Been a couple years, brother. I was a little bit off there. I didn't have the balls like Pettit and Avila to go up there and run the cushion, so I was kind of just stuck running that lane off in 1 and 2, and it was killing me. They were gapping me pretty bad in 1 and 2, but I was able to get down there on the bottom in 3 and 4 and keep up and hold my ground. Definitely didn't have the best car, but I really can't be complaining about a 3rd place. I'm not really a sprint car guy, so 3rd place in a sprint against those 2 guys to finish behind them, I can't complain at all.
Obviously, there were challenges with the cushion. How would you describe trying to adapt to the track and obviously also not trying to push the limits and ride those dirt mounds up the track and over the wall?
I was just trying to keep the car low and keep hunting for the grip. I knew that bottom at the start would be good. Was able to make a few moves there early and get up there into the top 5 pretty early, and then just kind of moved around and try to keep searching for something better. I thought that above, that upper middle in 1 and 2 would be better than it was, but it wasn't too good. It seemed like that top was a little better, but it was just a matter of running around and keeping trying stuff and see if there was something that I could find that was a little bit better than the guys around me, and just try and make up some positions.
Once again, Dylan, congratulations on the podium here tonight in the 4 machine with all the Kittens and Hello Kitty logos combined.
It's unbelievable. That's the wrap that's shown on the broadcast. I think it's pretty funny. I won the VLR Gobbler a couple years ago with a bunch of dudes' faces on my car, so I guess we had to stick with the program there. Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to my guys at Majulisi Speed Shop. Pretty fast piece here tonight. Got to thank everyone that was in Discord with me there helping me out. Got to thank iRacing for putting this on, and yeah. I guess I'll see you around. Are you doing the Pro Series broadcast this year, Justin?
That is not a question I can even answer myself, but I can say at the very least, it should be entertained by the time we get to that point, whoever is on the call.
Hell yeah. Hey, have a good one.
Dylan Yeager coming away with a good run here on the top 3. As joined up in the booth now is the car owner of the race winner and the second place driver who won last. He mentioned speed from last year as well, Tanner Pettit. You come away with a win last year and a second place this year with a team driver getting the win. How are you feeling about that as a team owner?
Absolutely amazing. Last year was the first year we were able to get it done, and that was kind of a surprise. And to go 1-2 this year makes it even better. Super proud of Ryan. He ran an awesome race there, and I didn't have much for him there at the end.
What were the most important things setup-wise in terms of making sure you had the speed long run that got you guys at one point running 1, 2, 3?
I really just think it came down to laps and practice. We made sure to run quite a few of the prelims, so we were good on laps and knew what to do with the track and everything like that. But setup-wise, we just used the setup on my website, and it absolutely ripped tonight. So I'm really happy with that, and really happy Ryan and I could show out.
Congratulations once again, Tanner, on the top 3 here this evening. You're a part of those who get the job done for a podium in the Super Session.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'd also like to shout out anybody who supports my website and everybody on the team. It's been a blast lately. And I'd also like to thank Jimmy P. Mac Tools, 1425 Photography, Aces Up Sim Sports, CD Cinematography. I'd like to thank SimRap Market. I'd like to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast, and iRacing for putting on this really fun event for all of us.
Tanner Pettit coming away with the top 3. I'd like to thank the entire top 3 for speaking on stream post-race coverage here on iRacing social media platforms and on Racespot. It was an interesting running of the Knoxville Nationals presented by Simple Tire, but we still have a lot of action coming up this month. The Portimao 1000 is coming up in the next week or so, in fact. You also have the Crandon Championship if you like those trucks that go jumpy. It's going to be an entertaining next few weeks if you like going left, right, on dirt, or pavement. All leading to the Southern 500 for the stock car side, part of the NIS Open Series for the coverage in September. Then we go back road course racing with some ones that are going to be very fun, like the Brick Car 24 Hours getting its own iRacing official date. All that's to say, thank you for tuning in for tonight's coverage here on iRacing and on Racespot. For our producer tonight, Hugo Louise, I'm Justin Prince Saints. Thank you so much for tuning in for tonight's coverage of the iRacing Knoxville Nationals. We'll see you next time out when we visit Portimao for 1,000 kilometers of racing. This has been the 2026 edition of the iRacing Knoxville Nationals, brought to you by Simple Tire from Knoxville Raceway.